Okay, here's a quickie. I start with a gel plate. I have it on a plastic bag. Now be careful. I'll give you a little warning about printing. I don't know which side the printing is on. It's probably best to just plain be careful. The printing might be on this side. I think it is. But I use plastic bags to cover my workspace. I make marks with a Posca pen. Sort of like this was a result of a pull using the Posca pen. Sometimes I actually make marks with a Posca pen and black paint, and this is the busiest one. But yeah, I did the white first, the white Posca pen, and then I did the black marks on top of the Posca pen on the gel plate. And then I used a combination of blue and white paint. Let's see if I can find the paint that doesn't, yeah, this color. And I roll off the paint. I roll off paint after this white and the black stuff has dried, perfectly dry. So you have to wait until the black dries, the marks. And then you put a combination of whatever color paint you want. You roll it on the gel plate, and in the case of using the Liquitex fluid acrylic paint, which I use, Basics acrylic fluid, very fluid, it all separates. But that's kind of what I'm going for, because I love the separation of the paint. Here's a result exactly of a very fine separation of the paint. It created that textural background. So I had Posca dots. I either stamped or drew. Probably, I don't know if I drew that freehand or not. I think I might have with my brush and black paint. Probably didn't let it dry, otherwise I would have had a design in here. So I probably didn't let the black paint dry before I put the blue paint on top of it to lift this. And I use it's called, I don't know, Japanese, like tissue paper that's shiny on one side and matte on the other. Anyway, that's what I prefer to use, because actually it's this paper right here. You could use tissue paper, but this is a little stronger. And here's an example of just black paint design on the gel plate, covered with a green mixture that separates into all of this beautiful textural stuff in the background. It looks so cool. And of course the black lines separate as well as I'm painting them, even though I used another paint. It wasn't the Liquitex I used to draw with, this old thing of chalkboard paint that I have. So it's very matte, that's the one thing. But it separates on the gel plate into these very fine, I call them dragonfly wing types of marks when the paint separates. Okay, so while you're doing that last pour, you take your little brayer filled with paint and you roll it on the plastic bag. And here, and here, another plastic bag. So I use quite a few lined up together. And then you just ignore that. Instead of having paper down to take the excess paint, this has got two layers. It's got the blue and the green on top of it, which is why it did not separate much, because these are dots that I've added after. Everything is done after. But you can see there's several layers of paint here. Now, if it's a clear plastic bag, when you do it and you don't, it's not a second buildup, you might be lucky enough to get this design. This is when the initial very fluid paint is rolled onto the plastic bag and then lifted up with packing tape later, which is what I did here. Okay, so it's like as if I had rolled the blue paint, See, this is paint that has separated. But this one here, I got some beautiful, beautiful, I don't know what you call them, cells or what you call them. But anyway, these, and what's really wonderful about these is I didn't do them, paint did it. Now I did, okay, after this was painted, just like this one, and did its separation, which I left. I did not try to disturb it in any way and then let it dry on the plastic bag. And then I did some Posca painting up here. I tried not to interfere with this beautiful stuff that was going on the plastic bag, which I captured with packing tape. So, this one here has no cells, though. This one has at least 2 layers of paint, and I did the Posca paint, which actually I wasn't too happy with, but here I just happened to have my iPad open to this design, and I had it in front of me, so it was an inspiration to let my hand just try to replicate, certainly not exactly, but an inspiration of what to put here. And then the white was just a little too boring, so I took out my black paint again and this pen and just outlined in black. Now when I pick this all up, all of this will be on the shiny side of the tape. The paint itself will look like that, totally uninteresting on the back side. So I will take the shiny piece, which I pull up, I'll probably cover it with matte medium, the shiny side, and have a matte finish on both. And then I'll be able to use this. Likewise, the paint that's built up here. Here I deliberately painted myself a big black area. You can see it has separated. In fact, that'll be really cool. Can you see how it will look on the painted side when I pull it up with a packing tape? Right, and the other side will have whatever I decide to add to this. So I'll have one side where I've got the applique on the applied markings that I did with the Posca paint pen, but the other side will be more plain. It'll pick up the texture that was in between and the paint, but all of that other stuff will be on that side. So I can choose which side I want to use, but you can see it's just getting these. This is a wonderful gift when you get these beautiful marks, I think. And of course they're clear, and they would be sticky except I use powder. I have a brush at the end of this table with a little thing of powder, and when I pull it up, any parts that I don't want to be solid and would still be sticky otherwise, I just brush very lightly with a tiny bit of ever so thin coat of baby powder that I always keep handy. So now I have this side I can use, or this side. I can cover this with matte medium and dull down the shine, or not. So I have those choices before me. But so when you're in the midst of making nice prints, which you also get to use on your jelly plate, if you apply the paint, run off the paint onto a plastic bag, you have another option to take those and go somewhere else with it. All right, that's a quick reminder to myself so that a year from now I will know how I made them.